Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
It's Tuesday, the 24th of January 2023. A very good evening and warm welcome to Eswatini TV News at 8. I'm Nidawuhle Masugu and signing with me tonight is Zama Nzimanze. Here are tonight's top stories. The Kingdom of Eswatini and the Russian Federation have signed a memorandum of understanding which will facilitate cooperation between the two countries. The Kingdom of Eswatini has expressed its wish to see Russia and Ukraine engaging in talks to end their war. And the Eswatini Communications Commission has presented equipment worth 1.2 million emalangeni to the Eswatini Television Authority. Let's get into the news in detail. The Kingdom of Eswatini and the Russian Federation have signed a memorandum of understanding which will facilitate cooperation between the two countries in economic and political issues. The MOU has been signed by the Ministers of Foreign Affairs for both countries, Tuli Dladla and Sergei Lavrov. The MOU has been signed at Cabinet offices on Tuesday.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Tuli Dladla, says she hopes the MOU will be the beginning of many opportunities that will help people of Eswatini and the Russian Federation.
The visa waiver agreement that has just been signed today is a step in the right direction as it sets the tone for movement of people between our two countries. I am optimistic, Your Excellency, that this will bring in closer and could be our opportunity to propose a bilateral cooperation that we've spoken about yourself. This bilateral cooperation that seeks to find commonalities in many spheres of interest.
The Russian Federation said it was open to exploring other areas of cooperation between the two countries.
Такой продуктивной работе помогает
This productive work is underpinned by the principle of mutual respect, equality of states, and respect for interests of each other. Today we had a detailed discussion on our cooperation in such areas as political, trade, commercial, industrial, agriculture, and military. And today we also stated that we need to focus our efforts first of all on the economic sector in order to boost it for it to catch up with other areas, namely with the beautiful political level of our cooperation.
The two countries have enjoyed 24 years of bilateral relations. They have assisted each other in areas such as education and security. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, Mbabane.
The Kingdom of Eswatini has expressed its wish to see Russia and Ukraine engaging in talks to end their war. This has been expressed by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Tuli Dladla, during a Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sergei Lavrov's courtesy visit to Eswatini. Russia and Ukraine have been in war since February 2022.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations, Tuli Dladla, says the Kingdom of Eswatini prays and hopes that Russia and Ukraine can sit on a round table and have a dialogue to bring an end to the conflict.
As a country, we remain deeply concerned about the ongoing Russian-Ukraine impasse. Our prayer is the belief that our brotherly state, the Russian Federation and Ukraine, will ultimately find an amicable solution soon. Eswatini believes that the use of a dialogue and other peaceful methods of intervention will, of course, assist the sovereign states in ending this impasse.
Russia says it is open to dialogue.
Показали, собственно, факты, которые доступны.
We said that the current state of affair was staged by the West, and we shared the facts that are available for the public and something that our Western colleagues say on a daily basis. And we said that the current situation is totally a hybrid war that has been prepared by the West against the Russian Federation for many years, and they have been preparing Ukraine by prohibiting all the possibilities to build a normal relation with our country, and they basically made it in order to have the direct confrontation between the states. Of course, we highly value the responsible and balanced position that Eswatini holds in the United Nations and everywhere where the Ukrainian dossier emerges. Of course, we fully understand the desire of our African friends to find peaceful solution to all the conflicts, namely to this one.
Eswatini and the whole world continues to pray for a peaceful end to this war and hope that no more lives are lost. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, Mbabane.
The Eswatini Communications Commission has presented equipment worth 1.2 million emalangeni to the Eswatini Television Authority. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, Peshia Dube, says the equipment came at a time where the country will be conducting national elections. Dube says the equipment will help this television station to reach out in all the regions.
The Eswatini Communications Commission has handed over the television broadcasting equipment to Eswatini Television Authority. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology thanked the Commission for the gesture and also encouraged the Commission to consider assisting other media houses.
Sibonga lesipho-ke ukuthi sidinga ukukhona manje iSwazi TV ukuthi ihambe konke ama-regions. So kubheka ukuthi nayo-ke i-TV isabalale nalo lonke lelive and isakade isabalale nalo lonke lelive.
When presenting the combination of studio and field items valued at 1.2 million emalangeni, the Commission's Chief Executive Mbilawembi Dlamini says they look forward to improved production on the TV stations across news and programs.
The presentation here namhlebuseni ayisiyo nje ukuthi kumbe into lengathi ngesilungu i-once off kunye lesisatawubambisana nabo kakhulu kungasiyo yodwa Eswatini TV cishe yonkana nje imiswakado lekhona emveni.
The acting CEO of Eswatini TV, Andreas Dlamini, says the equipment will help in ensuring that authority delivers its mandate. Dlamini says they are working on improving programs for the nation to enjoy locally produced programs.
Kuze ukuthi sikhone kwenda lokho sifinyelele lapho ubida ukuthi sibe namathuluzi anokusebenza ukuthi sikhone lokukwenda lokho sibe namathuluzi la kahle la ngakhwehleli la ngahazi la ngafinyelele lungakhanzi ukuthi sakayashoda ngezinga lelitside.
The Principal Secretary emphasized the importance of securing an outside broadcasting van, which is usually put aside when there are budget allocations. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Mbabane.
In a bid to ensure the strengthening of national food control systems based on evidence, the Food and Agricultural Organization continues to train focal officers from relevant ministries with good practices in the design and management of national food control systems.
The Food and Agricultural Organization is conducting a food system assessment with an aim to provide technical support to the operationalization of the SPS policy framework for Africa, enabling rational planning for the strengthening of national food control systems based on evidence assessment of the internationally recognized good practice in the design and management of national food control systems. The FAO National Consultant Dr. Nkambule says the training will provide the focal officers with an overview of what they need to assess and how. Nkambule says on Tuesday, the workshop only focused on the policy and legal processes.
So lesibonile siqale ngekuthi sibuke i-country profile buka ukuthi live lime kanjani. So kulokubuka ukuthi live lime kanjani sibuke onke lamatiko la buke tindzaba ta safety, sabuka ukuthi onke lamatiko ngiyini labanako in terms of imithetho and le mithetho yayiphi iminyaka nekuthi ibukeni nekuthi ema roles awu bona lamatiko ngiyini nani.
Nkambule says there is a great need to look at legislations that are there and also try and ensure that Eswatini aligns herself with the international requirements. For Eswatini TV News on Domlangeni, Ezulwini.
It was a bittersweet first day of school in the capital city. While some children were happy to see their friends, others broke down in tears. We visited some primary schools in Mbabane to witness the first day of school.
Schools have opened, and it was certainly not all smiles for all pupils. Parents were seen taking their children to schools. Although returning pupils were happy to see their friends, it was a different story for some grade 1s. Grade 1s were seen standing with their parents while waiting to be directed to their classes. In some schools, grade 1 pupils who secured learning space and time were found in class, ready to learn, while others were still looking for space in schools. Some were in casual wear as they are yet to buy uniform following the late securing of learning space. In other schools, pupils were being allocated classes. Parents who did not wish to speak on camera said their children were happy to be back at school, while others wanted to go back home. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, Mbabane.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office had a meeting with other stakeholders to try and come up with solutions that will make the national response to HIV and AIDS to be more gender transformative. The gender coordinator, Nomzamo Dlamini, says resolutions from the meeting will then inform interventions.
The gender coordinator says there is an urgent need to move beyond commitment but to practical action on issues related to HIV and AIDS.
Inombolo njena lesethulele tona ngonature ukhombisile ukuthi bomake ikakhulu bamfana bemantombazane ngathi nje adolescent girls ngibona laba thola kakhulu leligciwane le-HIV. Ngungako ke live libe seselifuna uhulumeni bese ufuna bozukanyana kutobuka tonke leto tingono ukuthi ingabe kubangelwa nayini.
Nature Executive Director Kanyamabuza says intergenerational relationships, lack of finances are some of the causes of continued new infections of HIV.
Tizathu tekucala uthola ukuthi lesihamba nje embili vele ngicale ngazo indzaba yetimali. Let's economic factors. Ukuthi labo babe labaningi ukhanza kusibana le mali ke babe yamena ukuthi akukhona ukuthola kufunako lokufaka ikhasi ukuthi uthathola imbalo omncane amnike ke letimali njengoba ahluphekile lo mntwana emva kwalo uthola ukuthi ke sekubana tinkinga ukuthi sekuyiwa ecansini sexual HIV.
UNAIDS Country Director Rose Gregg says the escalating figures of new infections are a concern.
We are saying that we are getting at least 4,000 new infections each year. So this is why we are doing the gender assessment today.
The different stakeholders said all studies conducted on HIV and AIDS will be consulted. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Mbabane.
To ensure that all forms of abuse are eradicated in the country, the Deputy Prime Minister's Office is in the process of developing a national framework on prevention of social exploitation. The Gender Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, Mpendulo Masuku, says they want every Leswati to lead a dignified life.
We are actually working on developing a national framework for the prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse, and this is a framework that is going to be guiding us at national level to say how do we relate, particularly when we're talking public servants or civil servants, and also people who are working for non-governmental organizations or community-based organizations, so that as they provide services or goods to the public, how do they ensure that they are not exploiting the public, and even also the public, we need to make sure that they're also aware of what to expect and what not to expect when they are accessing public services or public goods.
One of the participants of the meeting was World Food Programme. Prudence Chabangu says exploitation can happen in many forms in society and should not be allowed.
There is no way you can get work through sexual favors. Even when we go out there, like us, we are on the humanitarian sector with so many organizations in the country. So it's not that beneficiaries will get benefits through sexual exploitation. If people would know their rights in terms of sexual exploitation, I think even the cases, they would drop. Even the statistics would drop in the country. And people will be knowledgeable in every aspect.
Eswatini has made major progress in the fight against abuse by enacting the Prevention of Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Act of 2018. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ngamandla Mbabane.
The Chief Executive Officer of Business Eswatini, Nathi Dlamini, says that the submissions made by businesses under the renewable energy sector before an organization, European Union's Get Invest, which seeks to fund such projects, were impressive. He was speaking after the Energy Development Project Day where the submissions were made.
Today, the experts are here to assess the projects that we have in the country. And as such, we have invited everyone who's involved in renewable energy in this country to bring their project here. One, for assessment, for viability, and to see what areas that needs that project will need going forward, either be it financing, technical support, advisory services. Here we are looking how viable are these projects. Can they stand on their own merit? And if so, for some reason, by the way, money always chases after good projects. So I would say those who have good projects, don't worry. Money will always find its way towards your project.
Let's take a look at the financial indicators. And now into your sports news. The third phase of the rehabilitation of Somhlolo National Stadium has started. The contractor is now constructing a new modern wall fence with automated entry points and a new sewer line. According to the acting communications officer in the Ministry of Sports, Tabile Mdluli, it is quite difficult to tell how much the phase will cost, as this will also depend on the budget allocation of the 2023-2024 financial year. Mdluli says if all goes accordingly, the current third phase should be completed by April this year. At the moment, the venue is currently closed for both local and international games. And now moving into beach volleyball. Eswatini Volleyball Association President Mpendulo Dlamini says the association will soon announce a new executive committee that will be in charge of running the day-to-day activities of beach volleyball in the country. Dlamini says this follows the ongoing construction of a beach volleyball facility at the Olympia Africa Center in Lobamba that is expected to be finished next month.
Having officially begun process of getting a beach volleyball facility in the country,
The Eswatini Volleyball Association President Bendro Lamin says an executive committee for the beach volleyball in the country will be established this year in assisting to ensure that the league and other activities begin the same year.
Esiphezu kwako nyalo kuthi sikhone lokuthi cishe lo le structure seyikhona i-direction sesiyophela. We will call our membership ngoba si-executive nathi sikhethwe nglamalunga ethu sitawabita emalunga emhlanganweni sikhone lokuthi sihlale phasi nawo sizame ku-establisha i-committee letawuba ngiyo le-responsible for le beach volleyball.
The association is also eyeing potential international competition if all goes accordingly. The beach volleyball facility at the Olympic Africa Lobamba was through a support of Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Association. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane. Well, that's how we reach the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we leave you, here is a reminder of tonight's top stories. The Kingdom of Eswatini and the Russian Federation have signed a memorandum of understanding which will facilitate cooperation between the two countries. The Kingdom of Eswatini has expressed its wish to see Russia and Ukraine engaging in talks to end their war. And the Eswatini Communications Commission has presented equipment worth 1.2 million emalangeni to the Eswatini Television Authority. That's all the news we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.
Yeah.